Starting from the top, we have the deltoid. It's the anterior deltoid, the medial deltoid, and the posterior deltoid. Take the deltoid off. Above the ridge and the scapula, you have the supraspinatus. Below it, you have the infraspinatus. Right here is the teres minor, and this is the teres major. Flip it over. Underneath the scapula, you have the subscapularis. Go down a little bit. We'll go to the biceps brachii. This side is the short head. This is the long head. On the side over here, right next to the biceps brachii, you have the coracobrachialis. Lift off the biceps brachii, and you have the brachialis. Go over to the triceps. On the triceps, you have the triceps brachii lateral head, triceps brachii long head, triceps brachii medial head. After you do those, you come down here. There's a split in the arm. On this side of the split, it's the pronator teres. Go over to here, it's the flexors, so it's flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus. All the way over here is the flexor carpi ulnaris. These love handles on the sides are the flexor digitorum superficialis. Take this off. Underneath you have the flexor digitorum profundus and the flexor pollicus longus. Put this back on. Go over to this side. You have the brachioradialis. Next to the brachioradialis, you have the extensor carpi radialis longus and the extensor carpi radialis brevis. Flip it over a little bit more, and you have the extensor digitorum. Skip the middle one, and this is the extensor carpi ulnaris. Excuse me, extensor carpi ulnaris. That's all for the arm.
Go ahead.
Okay, up here we have the pectoralis major. On the other side is the pectoralis minor. On the side where it's ridged is the serratus anterior. And over here, on the other side of the ridges, would be the external oblique. The white part is the external oblique aponeurosis. Over to the other side, you have the internal oblique, and the white part down here is the internal oblique aponeurosis. Go over to the side, and you have a little ridge step down here. On this side, it's the external intercostals, and on this little step down into here, you have the internal intercostals. The muscle right here is the rectus abdominis, and you flip it over to the back, you have the transverse abdominis on either side, and this middle white part right here is the transverse abdominis aponeurosis. That's it.
Did you say this one?
I'm sorry, you're right. The middle is the linea alba.
Go ahead.
So on this model you have the frontalis, you have the temporalis, you have the occipitalis. On the front of the model you have the orbicularis oculi, you have the orbicularis oris around the mouth. Above that you have the levitator labii superioris. Below that you have the depressor labii inferioris. Over here you have the depressor anguli oris, and this is the zygomaticus. Over here on the side we have the masseter. It's the chewing muscle for mastication. That's what chewing is.
I knew that one.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay, on the side of the head, on this side, this big muscle right here is a sternocleidomastoid. On the other side, these two muscles right here are scalenes. This muscle right here that connects to the scapula is the levitator scapulae. On the back here, you have the pause it for a second. This muscle right here is the splenus capitis. On the back, you have the rhomboid minor, rhomboid major. This whole muscle here and right here is the trapezius. This muscle right here on your side is the latissimus dorsi, and the muscle down here is the erector spinae. You can do this one if you want. It's the gluteus maximus, gluteus minimus. This triangle looking one is the piriformis, and you can't really see anything else, so I'll leave it at that.
Gluteus medius.
Gluteus medius, I apologize. Gluteus medius. You can see kind of the corner of the quadratus femoris, but it's not going to be on here.
All right.
So at the top, the hip is iliopsoas muscle. The whole thing is the iliopsoas portion. This part right here would be the psoas major, and this part would be the iliacus. Now the iliacus does come down over here as well. Underneath the tape right here, we have the pectineus. This blue spot right here is the adductor brevis. This long one right here underneath the tape is the adductor longus, just like it says. The one next to this is the gracilis, and the one on the other side is the adductor magnus. The sartorius muscle is this very long muscle that comes all the way down the leg. In your middle of your leg in the front, you have the rectus femoris. On the lateral side, you have the vastus lateralis. On the medial side, you have the vastus medialis. Underneath of the rectus femoris, I can't really take it off, but underneath of that is the vastus intermedius. Over here, you have your IT band. At the top of the IT band, there's muscle right here is the tensor fasciae latae. On the back here, we have the gluteus medius and the gluteus maximus. Underneath of the gluteus maximus, this triangle one right here is the piriformis. And down here, it's kind of square, is the quadratus femoris. Alright, so we'll go over to the back. On the back side, you have the biceps femoris long head, biceps femoris short head. This other side, this top one right here that runs down the middle is the semitendinosus, and it has these love handles on the side here. That underneath is the vastus, or I'm sorry, not the vastus, the semimembranosus. Semitendinosus, semimembranosus is the love handles. I apologize. So many names. That is the patellar tendon and the patellar ligament. This one is the tibialis anterior. Next to the tibialis anterior, we have the extensor digitorum longus. And where's the... Hold on a second, pause it for a minute.
Alright, go.
So we have the extensor digitorum longus. The split right here is the extensor hallucis longus. It goes to the big toe. On the side of that, we have the fibularis longus is this one, and this little part down here is the fibularis brevis. On the back, the calf muscle is the gastrocnemius. Take off the calf muscle on one side. Underneath is the soleus. Underneath of the calf muscle completely, this muscle right here that goes into the back of the knee is the popliteus. This muscle that's right here in the middle is the posterior tibialis. Posterior tibialis, excuse me. This muscle right here is the flexor hallucis longus, and this one right here is the flexor digitorum longus.
One more time.
This is your Achilles tendon, and that's it.